Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're still talking powers, I love it. Right now we're in the realm of dumb powers. We did dumb Marvel, so now it's time for dumb DC. Also, dumb is relative, although I think you'd have to stretch hard to make some of these credible, but if you can, please leave me a detailed comment as to how down below. I wanna know. I'm Sasha and let's talk about some of these powers and hopefully have a bit of a laugh. These are the top 10 dumb DC superpowers. Number 10. The Red Bee. We're going to be talking about the first Red Bee, who debuted in hit comics #1 back in 1940. Also, his power is more of an attribute, but we'll get to that. He was originally a Quality Comics creation, but was bought along with all their other assets by DC once their company folded. The first Red Bee was Rick Raleigh, who was a district attorney by day and crime fighter by night, and also sometimes by day. So he fought crime in his red and yellow striped costume with the help of his trained bees and stinger gun. Trained bees. Now this could sound terrifying. You're just about to steal a painting, suddenly bees. But if you take a moment to calm down, fight the urge to scream, "Not the bees!" There are lots of ways to get around bees. Just be prepared. Pun not intended, but appreciated. Bug spray, also it was still the golden age, so giant net. There are just more useful powers out there. I mostly want to talk about this because I want to make bad bee jokes. The bees can sense royalty, and superheroes apparently. He kind of just faded, but there was a new Red Bee on the scene for a while, his grandniece Jenna. She had a mech suit and mechanical bees. So better, improving the family rep. However, she eventually gave up her superhero life in the name of research. It's okay. We'll always have the trained bees. Number 9. Six Pack. Okay, so Six Pack doesn't really have any powers. Maybe? He just thinks he does, because well, he's really drunk all the time. He first appeared in Hitman #9 back in 1996. Hitman followed the adventures of Tommy Monahan and his contract-killing exploits, which somehow found themselves set in the DC universe despite its odd tone as a comic. Six Pack was a member of Section 8. In fact, he formed the team. They go around aiding Tommy Monahan. Or do they? Aiding. Six Pack's main power appears to be his extremely high tolerance for alcohol, and while drunk he'll tell anyone and everyone who'll listen about his heroic exploits. However, when he sobers up, he's not sure any of it happened. However, he may also have reality-altering powers, but if he does have them, he doesn't remember that when he's sober. So yeah, not the best. His liver will thank him for not living a superhero life, but will the world? Probably, actually. Hitman was an interesting one. Number 8. Arm Fall Off Boy. It wouldn't be one of these lists without Arm Fall Off Boy. He debuted in Secret Origins Volume 2 #46 back in 1989. Yeah, he's a lot more recent than most people think. So he can detach his own limbs, but usually does it with his arms, cause well, that's the most convenient. Very few situations where you can detach a leg and wield it properly without falling over. Although if you could, you'd have a much stronger weapon. So he can beat people with his arms or teach them the importance of leaving a note. Little Arrested Development reference for y'all. So, Arm Fall Off Boy's real name is Floyd Belkin, and well, he can beat people with his arms as if they're clubs. And apparently he got his powers by accident while holding an anti-gravity metal element 152. However, it's Matter Eater Lad who said that, so take it with a grain of salt. In his first appearance, Arm Fall Off Boy was rejected from the Legion of Superheroes. This was during their tryouts, and it was for having powers that were not useful enough. He then tried again, but when he made it to the final 5, he literally fell to pieces, just limbs everywhere. So yeah, Arm Fall Off Boy, he sure exists. Number 7. Doll Man. Once more we must head back to the Golden Age, and we're going to talk about the first Doll Man. There have been 3. We're talking about Daryl Dane, who debuted in Feature Comics #27 back in 1939, and he was labeled the Earth's mightiest mite, and may have been the first shrinking hero. He could shrink down to 6 inches, so doll size. So you may be wondering, why is he here? Shrinking is a good power. However, unlike other shrinkers, he couldn't go in between sizes. No full size or 6 inches, nothing else. People were confused by this initially though, because his size varied all the time in the comics, but that was an artist thing and not a story thing. But here's the real kicker. He's also proportionally the same strength as size, so he's as strong as a 6-inch doll man would be. So in short, not very. It's just not the best. I mean, good for infiltrating, but in a conflict, Doll Man is probably going down. There have been 2 more Doll Men since. DC's attempts to relaunch the character after enfolding him to the DC universe upon another Earth yielded middling results. And each one of these also doesn't have very credible shrinking power. It's okay. Dollman sounds more like a villain name anyway. Number 6. Stone Boy. Stone Boy is one of those characters who is more credible now than when he first debuted. He first appeared in Adventure Comics number 306 back in 1963. He's a member of the Legion and comes from the planet Zwen. On this planet, the people could petrify their skin, and they used to hibernate for 6 months at a time, something that would also happen while Stone Boy was on Earth. And during that time, he would just be standing there, petrified. So his teammates would sometimes just pick him up and throw him at enemies. Just because you're hibernating doesn't mean you don't have to pull your weight. There's no hibernating team. In fact, because of this, he actually didn't make the team proper. He's a substitute on the Legion of Substitute Heroes. Just that name. Can you imagine people seeing you coming and being like, oh look, the Legion of Substitutes? Later, he gained the ability to move in stone form, so he's much more of a threat now, but he's still not used that much. And I hope that they still throw him. That's just amazing. Form of a giant paperweight. Number 5. Brother Power the Geek. He first debuted in Brother Power the Geek number 1 back in 1968. So Brother the Geek was meant to be a take on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. He first appeared as an abandoned mannequin in a tailor shop. He was brought to life when he was struck by lightning. He was then captured by the circus, who gave him a face. The book was actually this weird mix of both anti and pro-hippie propaganda, with Brother the Geek running for Congress and encouraging the hippies to get real jobs. Here's the thing, the staff themselves didn't like this character, and they wanted him gone. Although what's funny is that some people on staff felt that the hippies in the stories were too sympathetic, and also that the books featured way too much drug use. And some just wondered, why does this character exist? In later appearances, Brother Geek would be retconned to being an imperfect elemental, and he would take part in the Swamp Thing lore. He was then connected to all human simulacra, like dolls and statues, so much more useful and creepy. He can possess dolls now. That's terrifying. Number 4. Color Kid. The fact that I know the lower third is not going to have a U in it causes me physical pain. So this is another member from the League of Substitutes. Now Color Kid has made few appearances and is set up as a happy-go-lucky classic sidekick type. His power? He can change the color of any object. There you go. Phenomenal cosmic power. He once used his powers to conceal an object and trip some villains. Now there are ways this power could be used, but it's really not all that useful comparatively. For every object you can cloak, you have a telekinetic or a force field user who can do the same thing. Still, you know what Color Kid would be great for? Parties. He has a great party career ahead of him. Superheroing isn't the only life choice out there for people with powers. Think about it. Number 3. Animal Vegetable Mineral Man. Half man, half vegetable, half mineral. So this character isn't a hero. No, we have our first villain joining the list. He first debuted in Doom Patrol Volume 1, number 89 back in 1964. He's very metamorpho in terms of appearance. So he is Dr. Sven Larsson, who gained his powers after falling into a vat of amino acids. It was the 60s. We all know that falling into essentially a vitamin vat would not give you powers, sadly. So his powers are that he can change any part of his body into an animal, vegetable, or mineral. He can also combine them all at once into some horrible Franken compound. In classic appearances, usually only one side of his body would change and the other part would be kept normal, like one half of his face, so that he could be identified and had a base model for artists to be able to draw. He was briefly brought back in the New 52, but I think the world is safe from Animal Vegetable Mineral Man. Now that I've said that, watch him get his own miniseries, his own TV show. Number 2. Rainbow Girl. It's time for more colors. She first debuted in Adventure Comics number 309 back in 1963 and is an alien from the planet Zolnar. Again, she's on the Legion of Substitute Heroes. Her power was wielding an emotion spectrum that resulted in her having intense, rather unpredictable mood swings. So how do her powers work? Well, she's not sure. She can tap into some of the colors, like red for anger, blue for hope, and green for willpower, so the Lantern emotion spectrum, but that was introduced long after her creation. It is said that she mostly uses her powers, whatever they are, for fun. Also, guess what? She has pheromones, and she does abuse them. Oh yes, she does. She used them to create a rainbow aura around herself, giving her an irresistible personality to everyone. Just going full Purple Man, but without words. So do you like Rainbow Girl? You don't know. She made you. Also, why is she in the League, even the Substitute League? And finally, in at number 1, Friendly Fire. Friendly Fire had to be number 1 because his powers are hilarious. He's also a member of Section 8, and his powers are actually quite strong. Energy projection from his hands. He debuted in Hitman number 18 back in 1997. The only problem is he can't hit a target, and definitely not an enemy. In fact, he most often hits his allies, hence his name. It seems like he can only hit his allies. He's the guy you don't want in your team. He was so bad at using his powers he actually killed himself with them, decapitating a rather disintegrating his own head. So the power's not dumb, but the fact that he used it while being so fundamentally unable to control it, yeah, that earns you a spot at number 1. So those were 10 dumb DC superpowers. Had you heard of any of them? Which was your fave? I like tapping into colors just cuz. I'm Sasha and thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more nerdy lists and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. We'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.